What's up, people? I am back. Not like I've gone anywhere, but I am back. I know you guys have missed these videos, just me and you know, one to one. My past few videos have been a lot of cinematic stuff, show day videos, 1 day out, 2 weeks out, but we're back to that one-on-one communication. So I actually like watching these videos as well. There's a time and place for making movies, but I think, you know, you guys get a lot of value from just listening to me talk to the camera, I hope. So a lot has gone on. Where's the light? There it is. A lot has gone on, and there's a lot going on at the moment now. As you guys are watching, I'm actually moving out of my apartment, but that's going to be another video. So the house is currently a mess at the moment. So that's what I'm doing this week. But this video was going to be a recap of my first bodybuilding season. And oh my God, it's been an absolute journey. I can't believe what has gone on the past few months. It's been crazy. I mean, I've achieved stuff that like I would have never thought I would have been able to achieve in my first ever season. All right, so I'm sure you guys are wondering how my most recent show went. I haven't said anything on Instagram yet as to like what placing and you know how it went, and that's for a specific reason. So my last show was the WMBF World. So this was the Natural Olympia, pretty much. All the top natural athletes across the world. China, Japan, US, Canada, UK, Germany. There was so many teams there, and it was an absolute honor and a pleasure to represent Team Ireland. Being there, I felt like I was at the Olympics or something like that. You know what I mean? There was an athlete check-in, you know, registration. I had to do a polygraph because it's a natural competition. The staging, the arena, like the whole setup was just amazing. And flying to the US, to a different country to do something like that, it's just a dream of mine. And I took in everything, you know. I lived in the moment. That's one of the reasons actually I didn't record a show day video for the WMBF Worlds, because I just wanted to be present. I didn't want to worry about camera angles. I didn't want to worry about like what shots to get, worrying about like getting a videographer or when I'm going to get the videos out, short form content from it. I just didn't want to worry about any of that, and I wanted to live in the moment, and I definitely did live in the moment. I do have some phone footage that Anna actually helped me record, so I might pop up some footage as I'm talking through how the show went. I haven't got the official result yet for my placing. I didn't place top 5. Initially, I was devastated. Like I was very disappointed, but that was only like straight after it happened. After they called out the top 5 and I wasn't in there, I was originally disappointed because, you know, when we walked off stage and there was that time period where the judges were tabulating the scores, I had a lot of people come up to me and being like, wow, you had an amazing physique, your stage presence, you posed really well. So, you know, I had in my mind that, okay, at least I'm going to make the top 5, because the guys I was up against, one, they had so many more years in this game than me. They were absolutely shredded. The standard was amazing. Like, it was insane. And I knew I came in with a really good package, but I was like, okay, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be tough. But, you know, step backstage, got some feedback from people who were watching. They were like, oh, wow, you really shone out there. So I was like, okay, I might be within that top 5. So, you know, nervously waiting backstage, and then the assistant calls us over and he was like, okay, I'm going to call out the people who placed top 5 and then you guys are going to do a walk. So I was just like, oh. Then when they didn't call out my name, I was gutted. I was like, oh, I really thought I made it in there. But at that moment, I was very disappointed. But, you know, I took some time to really deep it, and I snapped out of it. I was like, Yemi, this is your first competitive season, right? And you have 2 trophies, 2 wins. You've got to step on an international stage to represent Ireland. And, you know, by the judges' feedback, I was chatting to them about my like scoring and stuff like that. They said I was overlooked, and they said that, you know, I was so close to being within that top 5. So I'd say I've placed around 6th or 7th. So 6th in the world is absolutely nuts, especially for my first time around, you know what I mean? And it's lit the fire in me, and it's motivated me to come back and really do get that pro card. I've told you guys that I am going to go pro. It's just a matter of when. That is going to be the next series, Road to Pro, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so let's bring it back. Let's rewind. Let's bring it back. So first show was the WMBF Nationals here in Ireland. New Ross. It was an absolutely amazing show, absolutely amazing venue. My first time, you know, competing since I was like competing in juniors, and my first proper open bodybuilding appearance, and it was fantastic. There was a lot of emotion behind it. I had my friends there, family there. It was just, you know, it was an amazing experience. You know, we rented a really nice house out in the country. We got to, you know, chat and talk about like the whole journey, and then I got to step on stage and we got the W. And you can imagine how I felt after that. You know, having my family and friends there to experience all that with me was just a dream. It was a dream. It was an amazing experience. The physique I brought in that show was very, very good. I know that there were certain improvements I could have made if I was just a tiny bit leaner, if it was a tiny bit sharper. I think I would have gotten a pro card at that stage. But again, I was thinking about it and I was like, I think I preferred the results. I preferred that I won my class, and I preferred that I didn't win the overall, because I'm the type of person that wants a challenge, type of person that wants something to work towards. And I think if I was to get my pro card that first time around, I don't know, it wouldn't be as challenging to me. This season, after not winning my pro card, I'm going into the next season now knowing the improvements I need to make to be of pro standard. And if I was to completely be honest with myself, I don't think my first season, this season, I am at pro standard, but I will get there. There's just certain little tweaks I need to make to my physique, certain improvements I need to make, and I will most definitely be pro standard. I think my stage presence, I think my posing, I think my overall package is very, very good, and it's almost at pro standard. It's just, I need to make some little tweaks to my physique, and I'm pretty much there. I'm happy with how that show turned out. It was an amazing experience. You know, I was still competing against guys who had phenomenal physiques in that show. There is a lot of high standard natural athletes here in Ireland, and that show definitely proved it. That was in early September, I think September the 17th, and then I had another show the week after, so that was the MBFI show, Natural Bodybuilding Federation Ireland. Again, that was an amazing show. I had my friends and family there. I had a lot of confidence going into that show because, you know, I just won my class the week previous, and, you know, the nerves of being on stage, wary about how to pose and stuff like that, that was out the window, and I was just going to go up there and I was going to enjoy myself. And I'm going to put up some clips from that show here. You can tell that I was on that stage. I didn't see anybody else. I was just up there to do my thing and enjoy, and I definitely enjoyed it. I loved that show. But you know what? I'll say that for another video. All I'm going to say is that as a federation, I much preferred the WMBF than the MBFI. Next. So that was the MBFI. So I got the class win in that. And the guy that bet me in the WMBF show for the overall bet me again in the MBFI show. We almost had that like competitive banter like after the show, being like, oh, I'll beat you again. His name is John. He's an absolute gent. Amazing physique. He has so many years competing in natural federations and in unnatural federations as well. You can tell he has a muscle maturity. His presentation is sick. He can pose. Hopefully next year, if you're watching this, John, we're gonna go at it again. It's really good to have somebody who challenges you. You know, all the top athletes say it, like there has to be somebody out there that's like just as good as you, beats you on one or two occasions to get that like competitiveness going. And in this sport, it's really competitive, and I enjoy it. I thrive off that. There's no bad blood or anything like that. It's just like, you know, it gives you that bit of fire to come back better, to come back sharper, and makes you a better athlete. That's the situation here. So after that show, it went downhill. Nah, definitely it did not go downhill. I mean, I then went to go and compete in a summer shredding, which probably was one of the most competitive amateur shows this year. The reason for that is that there was a cash prize up at stakes, there was sponsorships up at stake, there was like, you know, competing in a competition like owned by Christian Guzman, one of the biggest fitness influencers in the world currently. So it's a massive stage. It got a lot of visibility, people from all over the world traveling just to compete in that show. Pretty much everybody who loves bodybuilding and competes in bodybuilding was there. Phenomenal physiques. It was also an untested show, so like, you know, you're up against people who have more years assisted, have much more of an advantage. And I was coming in, you know, my first competitive season as a natural athlete. You know, I didn't let that deter me from signing up to that show. I wanted to step on stage with people who are of that standard. You know, some of the best amateurs in the world, tested and untested. You know, I wanted that challenge. The show itself was probably not as organized as you'd like it to be. There was a lot of competitors. I think there was over like 400 competitors. It was a long ass day. Like I got to the venue about 11 o'clock and I didn't leave till 11 o'clock in the evening. Men's Physique wasn't on until like 7 o'clock. So, you know, food timings, getting tired, fatigue, starting to build up as well from just sitting around in the pump up area. It wasn't the most ideal setup. The stage and the production was absolutely insane. You guys got to go check out the Instagram. The stage shots, absolutely amazing. Like to step on that stage it was like I was in a movie. Like it was insane. It was absolutely insane. What I have to say is that like I've gotten this feedback from other people and I've gotten it from my coach and just myself, even looking back at some of the shots from the different classes. The class I was in was probably the most stacked class. And that's going to be the case for me because I'm quite tall. I'm always going to be in the tall category. But that class I was in, class G, was stacked. The winner of my class actually won the overall for men's physique as well. So, you know, that also goes to show. What I will say is that some of the physiques and some of the competitors in the classes below me, if I was in those classes, I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm just gonna say I would have wiped the floor. If you look at the other classes, there are people that came in that just weren't conditioned, that couldn't pose. I was shredded to the bone. I was probably one of the most conditioned. The only thing the guys in my class had on me was size. And I know myself, like that's just time. This is my first season. Those guys have been competing for years, and you know, I need to put in that time as well. I need to put in my hours. I need to fight for that top position, and that just takes time, and that is going to happen. You know, looking at the summer shredding judging criteria and watching back some of the videos of the show, one of the main judging criteria and the top judging criteria for men's physique, which I really don't agree with, was size. You had to be big. You had to be big. It wasn't really a condition battle. It was more of like who is the biggest and who is lean, rather than who has good proportions, who came in with sick, sharp conditioning, and then, you know, who also has that muscle maturity and stage presence. After summer shredding, myself and Anna took a trip to New York, which is absolutely insane. Like, you know, New York is somewhere like I never thought I'd be able to go visit. Like, and like it's exactly what it's like in the movies. We went to Central Park, we went to Times Square. The food, if I wasn't still on prep, I would have came back home like 10 kilos heavier. Trust me. There was Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, there was just all these American fast food joints, and like the smell in the city was just food, and it was just so hard to stay away from all of that because essentially I had a show that was like 3 weeks later, so I didn't want to like binge on fast food. Anyway, we took a trip to New York, visited her family, stayed with them for a bit, did some touristy stuff. So that was summer shredding. I then came home and that led to prepping for the WMBF World Championships, where I was going to be representing Team WMBF Ireland. So judges' feedback, what did they think of my physique and stage performance? So one of the comments was that I could have came in a little bit leaner. I knew this on show day morning. I knew that I wasn't as sharp as I could be. I didn't want to let that knock my confidence, especially on show day. I needed to go in very, very confident because, you know, that shows on stage. Saying that now, like I was very, very lean. I was very shredded, you know, but I knew I could be sharper. And I think the judges noticed that as well, especially my midsection. I have a really small waist, which is really good for my proportions and the whole men's physique look, but I hold a lot of my body fat, especially around my hips and my midsection as well. I think I was sharper for my second and third show, but the reason I think I wasn't as sharp for my last show is that I was absolutely bollocksed. Like doing shows back to back to back is extremely, extremely hard. And I think when I got to the fourth show, my body just couldn't peak as well. You know, I wasn't coming in sharp as possible. I was consuming a lot of food and my weight wasn't changing at all. So prepping for that show, I was doing everything nutrition-wise to get my body weight down and to get a little bit sharper. So the first couple of weeks when I landed back from New York, we entered another digging phase where, you know, dropped calories and increased cardio. My weight was not changing whatsoever. It was just staying at one specific value. And progress pictures as well were looking the exact same. I just wasn't responding. And then what we decided to do is that because fatigue was so high, what we did was that we dropped cardio. And that shifted body weight a tiny tiny bit. I think I lost about like maybe a kilo, but you know, I really did need to lose like 2 or 3 kilos to come in very, very sharp. Lost about a kilo, and then weight stayed the same again. We dropped calories again, weight stayed the same again. And then what we decided to do was that we decided to bump up calories a little bit. Interestingly enough, when we bumped up calories, my weight started to drop again. So that just means that my body was just taxed. It needed food, and then that's when it started to respond. But at that stage, I think it's not that it was too late, but it just wasn't the optimal time for us to be loading at that stage. So we loaded up until peak week. And then when peak week hit, there was 2 days where we dropped calories again. And the reason for this was just that to get us a little bit tighter and drop the water weight. And then once the water weight is dropped, we'll then fill back up. During that fill up during peak week, I was consuming so much food, so much carbs. Like I was consuming like 600-700 grams of carbs, and my body was not changing whatsoever. So at that stage, it was just knackered. We did fill up a tiny bit, maybe like 2 or 3 days before the show, but it just wasn't enough. So I came into that show not being as full as I possibly could, not being as sharp as I possibly could. So, you know, I knew that, you know, I'm not naive when it comes to like peaking for a show. I know what I have to bring. And we did bring a really good physique, and I thought I did really well for, you know, the circumstances and what we were up against, you know. I did bring in a really good physique. Really still happy with the outcome, really still happy with the feedback I gotten, and happy about the whole experience in itself. So we're back home now. Back home after months and months of prepping, months and months of traveling, months and months of competing. And I gotta tell you guys, I wouldn't change a thing. I've learned so much. I've achieved so much. As I said, it's lit the fire in me. I'm so motivated right now to compete again, even though I've literally just finished competing, but I have the urge to, you know, step into another show. But the plan moving forward now is that I'm in a 5-week reverse. The whole purpose of the reverse is not to hop straight into an off season, but to let my metabolism get back to, you know, basal levels, let my hormones get back to basal levels. It's pretty much like a health phase, get my body back up and running, and then that's when we can like push calories. That's when we can really push training to build on the muscle groups that we need to build. One of the comments from the judges is that I needed to build on my upper shelf, and I can really see that as well, especially in my side shot. To get that dense look in your upper chest is really important. It's going to be one of the main priorities in this off season, to really build on that upper shelf and make sure it's balanced as well, because men's physique is all about balance. Chest in general needs to be, you know, balanced with the shoulders, arms, triceps. That's one of the main goals for this off season. Another one is my back as well. I have the width, which you can see on stage, but I think it needs that bit of density. If I was to summarize what I need to do for this off season, is density. I just need a bit more muscle mass, and that's just time, you know. I'm going to spend a couple of months to a year in this off season, and then we're going to come back next year, and it's going to be road to pro. So that is going to wrap this video up. Just a recap on my first ever bodybuilding season. We took home 2 first place medals, got to compete in summer shredding, competed against some of the top natural athletes in the world, got to represent the country, got to represent Ireland, and finished 6th in the world. Wow. You guys already know that this is just the beginning. There's so many things I want to do in the future. There's so many projects that you guys are going to get to see now, because I'm not on prep and I can focus on them. So watch out for my socials, watch out for the YouTube, watch out for the vlogs. There are going to be weekly vlogs, even sometimes 2 vlogs per week, to keep you guys entertained, to keep you guys motivated, to educate you guys, allow you guys to follow along this amazing journey. The next video you guys are going to see is some news that I have for you guys. I kind of stated it in the start of this video, so watch out for that, watch out for that. So if you guys like the video, make sure to drop a like and make sure to drop a comment. It really does help the channel grow. Lets YouTube know that you're interested in the video, you like it, you enjoy it, or pushes it out to more people. We really do want to grow in 2024. So make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll chat you guys in the next one. Slán.